Hey YouTube, welcome back to Beyond the Manual. Today you're going to join me on potentially the second or third most frustrating part of this build. Yeah, I cheaped out and bought the cheapest brown, black racing seats that I could find. These are actually off a guy on Marketplace who just buys pallets and these happen to be on there. They came with all the hardware, which is great, except there's no manual, no directions, pictures of installation, nothing. So we're gonna fit them in this Trans Am behind me, and yeah, it's gonna be bad. For those of you who have been following this car, we've made a few improvements as parts have been coming in. So most of the interior is, well on its way here. We gotta fit these seats. Looking back, I probably just should have kept the other seats, fixed them, and reupholstered them, but it's dumb. I sold them. I know. But so we got to work with this goofy third gen bolt pattern here. So far as what I'm seeing is at least that dimension from driver side to passenger side in the front is like, what is it, 12 or 13 and 5/8, something like that. Yeah, 13 and 5/8, which is good because that's the dimension that fit our seats. You'll see what these look like when I flip them around. So that's the dimension basically of these, which is great. So in hindsight, right, I just have to find a way to bridge the rear, bring it up and level it. That's not that hard. What is kicking my butt are these slides. There's no direction, so I don't know, do they go fat side down? Do they go skinny side down? Right? And here's what I'm finding is, it'd be great if they could go skinny side down, because that leaves plenty of room to get a nut here, because obviously this is a 92 Firebird. I have studs. And being that these are the right width, I can at least catch one with a nut and hopefully tighten that with like a 1/4 inch drive, right? But I cannot do that on the skinny side. That's only like maybe 5/8 right there, and you're not getting a bolt. I suppose you get a bolt in there. That would be okay for the rear, but then I'd have to build the front up. And my goal for these is they're pretty much gonna have to sit on the front mounts to fit the height of the car. So there's all sorts of things here I'm gonna try to work through. But you might as well join me while I struggle, sweat, swear, and be miserable here while I figure this out. Plan? Plan. Okay, so here's my first go at this. What I did was, for now I have what they call a square washer. It's for normal use for unistrut, but I needed that to make sure I wouldn't rub on the seats here. And given that I'm going narrow down, I wanted to make sure this mounting face was solid. So I used the back hole in this bracket on the skinny side again. I'm going to try to go skinny side to the seat. That gives me a little bit more room in here to actually put a real nut and get at it with a 1/4 inch ratchet. Again, no instructions, even ChatGPT here didn't really lend any help. But this, as positioned, is about the furthest back the seat can go, while still having enough room here to scoot it forward if you want it to, and to be able to still actuate that lever. I might even go that far, which looks like they're not exactly even here, but we'll call it 1.5 notches. So I'm gonna tool around this a little more, and I'm going to have to bring this seat bracket quite a ways back, I think, to be able to catch this. So I'm gonna have to play with this and see what it's going to look like. For sure, I gotta come back. So I might initial thoughts here. I don't even have anything on paper. I'm gonna bring these up as my stanchion, right? So maybe they gotta sit up that high. And we're gonna come across this way. And then our actual quote mounting bracket then will just come from the front. Use this as a support, and if it has to hang over a little bit, that should be okay. So that's where I'm gonna start. And we'll see what that looks like. I just gotta figure out what I wanna do to get that raised up. So let me tootle on that for a little bit. I'm thinking maybe even a piece of angle iron. That'll actually help make sure stuff on the floor back here doesn't slip underneath the seat, potentially. And then on top of that angle iron, I'd come across here, just weld it, bolt it, and I just have to mark and drill holes. I will, as soon as I have a few things fabbed up here, I will take you along and we'll see what we can come up with. All right, so what I have here is off the metal shelf. This is part of a metal bed frame. It's pretty much free angle iron, and anytime you see them on the side of the road, snatch them up. But what I like about this is with those spacers I put in there now, if I put this here, I have about a 1/4 inch between the fabric of the chair, so this won't rub, and I can always take a flap disc and take that down a little bit more. But what I'm thinking is, you can see I have this. It's just a piece of 2-inch angle iron. Again, off the shelf. I don't even know what this came from. I got holes drilled, and that's gonna raise up. Oops, let me get this turned around the right way so you can kind of see what I'm after. So I'm gonna try to center that one just for now, because I'm gonna have to tack everything in place to test these. And that gives me a little wiggle room there. I can get a nut affixed there, and then I'll put the seat in and try to figure out where back here we have to cut. And I might actually be able to measure that now, because we know I can only go back so far and still have access to this handle the way that I mounted these seats. So if we look, I'll say the seats, the base of the seat is about 2.5 inches from the bracket. So we want the back of our seat. We can kind of almost play a game with where do we want the back of the seat to be. I'm going to try to take kids in here, so I want to make sure I have enough forward movement. I don't want them to bust their shins on here, so I'm going to probably have to round and protect that. But so there's about 2.5. So I think I'm going to try to cut it right at the end of my tape measure here, and that should be enough, I'm hoping. And we might just have to trim this as we go. So then what'll happen is this will get welded on here, so this whole piece can come up out of here almost as one when it's all said and done. And like I said, I'm fat, so this should be nice and strong. I'm not going to bend that angle iron. This one is definitely not going to give way or bend. There's plenty of strut. I could even weld a gusset in here if I was really concerned about it. So I think I'm going to do that. This is going to take a bit of time in fabbing. I'll bring you back in when I have something closer to a working theory. All right, so here's what we're finding. I just have a bolt holding the front, nut holding the front of that down, and I kind of have this lined up where it would be parallel. And what I think is happening here is I am too far in now. So I'm rubbing pretty hard on the center console. I have a fairly big gap here. And if I look at the stock 3rd gen seatbelt dangus, well, maybe this is, let's see if we can get this aligned here somewhat. Okay, so right about there, and I have a little room, see that? So I'm gonna have to make a determination whether that's good enough, or if I want to try to put a piece of flat stock between these and move this bracket out a little bit. But the overall length of the bracket looks pretty good. This is something that will probably just a nice curve down, right? nice angle, or nice curve, make it nice and smooth, paint all this black. And same with the back. We can probably take about that much off yet. That actual bracket starts about here, and then we would round and smooth all that out as well. So we're getting there. I think this is just gonna be one of those piece by piece, but hopefully if you guys are into cheap seats, and they're actually, for the little bit I've sat in them, they're not bad. I don't know, we'll have to see what it's like to sit 10 hours in them, but so I got a little bit to figure out here yet. I think this seat's gonna have to come this way. I gotta think about how I wanna do that. So let me ponder on that for a little bit more, and I'll bring you back in when I have an answer. So somewhere out there, one of you is yelling from the top of your lungs, "You idiot, this isn't gonna work." You're right. This isn't gonna work like this, because in this orientation, basically what you're gonna end up with is this bar coming way out or way in. So I'm gonna have to reevaluate all this, but I think generally speaking, that mount design is gonna be okay. We still have to figure out how we're gonna do this. So let me put this a little bit more in perspective. So if I were to flip these around, this bracket stays stationary with the seats, right? The pieces that that are connected. So yes, this could potentially work, but you're gonna end up with a big bar that's either gonna be coming out or in depending on your orientation, I think. Whereas if I would flip this over, this would stay with the seat, because these would be bolted to the seat, if that makes sense. And the other bracket then would be able to free slide. So I'm gonna have to unbolt all this, think of another way I wanna do it. I will get back to you. So after a little bit of playing around, I decided I'm gonna go back with this angle bracket and see how well you can see in there. So these are M8 by 125s. So that's a standard metric nut. And it actually just so happens to fit right in that channel. And I don't think it's going to spin in there. I think it's tight enough against the walls. So I was able to move this slide up to get this first nut, and then down to get the second one in. And on the bottom, I just have, again, this is like reused hardware from a TV mounting set. But they're the right size, I think. And I'm going to exercise this to make sure nothing catches. And then I think if everything looks good, we're going to go and do the other side. One thing that I did change is I added a second washer underneath here. Nothing's tight yet, but so I have 2 square washers under each side. That was enough to give me what I'll call a safe clearance here. I just didn't want to rip into the seat if something flexes here. And now I can almost get my pinky under there, plenty of room. So we're gonna do that on this side, and then all I'm gonna have to do is, I'm hoping I don't have to recut this. This was just a piece of scrap that happened to be the right length. But I'm gonna move it over a little bit. And what I mean is, instead of, let me grab Grandpa's tape measure here, is instead of mounting it straight back from this front mounting hole, I'm gonna try to ease it out this way a little bit. That'll give a better look and feel. It won't rub on the center console. We'll just have to make sure we're watching the seat belt, mount her, screw her down, save your life device there. And so we can still reach the lean back handle. But we're making some progress. Once I get that bracket on this side, we can put the whole thing in the car, and I can kind of figure out where I feel comfortable. I'm a 6'1" dude at 248 pounds, so the more room I have for longer rides, the better. If I'm taking the kids to school or something, yeah, I'm gonna have to eat the steering wheel for them to fit in the 4 inches of legroom they're gonna have. But they're 8 and 10. They'll be fine a little bit, maybe. Or maybe one kid will have to go that way and one sits in the front seat. But figure that out later on. That's not important right now. We'll get this mounted and get the seat back in the car. All right, just to show you here, we are making some progress. I have this one drilled in. and just have a nut started on that. And this one I'm gonna have to probably weld a tab on here. Right now I'm just kind of using this washer as a wedge. And so far I think we're doing good. This should allow me now to, so I can move the seat forward, move the seat back. That's what behind the seat looks like. Might as well be a two-person car, but I told the wife it's a four-seater, so there's that. This, I believe we should have, I'll probably have to just reach that lever with a finger here, but just to give you an idea, if we get that in place, I mean, you can still get a finger in there to lift up that lever. Now, clearance to the ceiling, these seats are taller than I thought. And we're not touching, but by the same token, we're really close. So what I think I might do, these are obviously gonna pull down a little bit. But I think when I weld these in, I'm gonna what's the right word here? I'm going to cut down a little bit and kind of dado this. So this L bracket sits down a little bit. Yeah, that's gonna kind of canter the seat backwards, but it's not gonna be too noticeable, and that's fine with me. Like I said, I got tall legs, and I think it'll be a little bit more comfortable driving. And these are a pretty low seat, and I definitely could not fit any taller of a seat in here. The only thing I haven't tried yet is to use the handle and see if the seat comes forward. Let's see if my camera falls off there. Oh, yep, it did. Yep, it did. Fell right off there. Oh, yep. Yep, it did. I don't know what you guys can see and what you can't. I got nowhere to put my camera. Right now, we'll figure this out. Okay, don't worry about that. All right, we just got done welding this together. Dry fitted it to the seat, dry fitted it to the car, and we're gonna give you some measurements in case you want to do this again. This is left over 2x2 angle, about 3/6. It's probably 1/8 inch, maybe 3/16 on that. But then these are from a metal bed frame. Again, cheap and easy sheet metal. That's just an extra piece of steel I had laying around for that tab. So trying to tell you guys I'll show you guys you can do this for pretty cheap. So these rails are 18.5. Again, these are, if you wanted just to go and buy the stock, these are, let me show you. About 1 inch angle. And what else? This tab is about a 2x2 tab. And I basically put a nut up in the corner, punched my hole, and it sat right down where it needs to go. There's really not much to this. Just welded it both sides. It's plenty strong. It's not gonna go anywhere. We're going to clean this up with some brake clean, spray it down with some wax and grease remover. We're gonna put this right in the booth to paint I have some leftover hot rod satin black. It'll be a nice two-stage or a single stage paint. And we'll throw on here probably 2 or 3 coats. Let that dry, and we'll come back and assemble this, and then we will at least have a car I can theoretically drive with a bolted down driver's seat. And then that just leaves us with the passenger. All right, it is the next day. We let our brackets sit and dry, cure in the paint booth overnight. So just a quick note about how I painted this. Just another tip is, I didn't prime this. This already had some coating on it, and I scuffed it with 180. So there was some bare metal, there's some scuffed existing coating, and that's fine. Just before you go and throw 2 medium or wet coats on, I always like to do just a quick, I don't know, I call it like a bite coat. Just hit like the bare metal spots, just with a quick dusting. Not so it's dry, but just a very, very light coat. And let that sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and that kind of we'll give the next more wet coats, your 2 medium to heavy coats, something to grab onto. And sometimes you can get away without having to prime on some parts that aren't as critical, like the seat bracket. And that's what I did here. And actually they turned out pretty good. I rounded the corners off, took away all the sharp edges, made sure nothing was gonna catch. So we're gonna bolt this up, get all 4 bolts fully tightened down, and then we'll throw it in the car and see if we can catch our 4 mounting points. Hopefully nothing moved. And we'll finally have a seat in this thing that'll at least allow us to move it around a little bit nicer than, you know, sitting on cases and stuff, trying to reach the gas pedal. And there you have it. A fully mounted Rex, what are these called? Pexmor budget seats. I might change the color of these at one point. Like I said, I got these for almost free. So we're gonna see how it looks. You do get, it's hard to tell, let me put my fingers up there. I'm gonna say about 1 inch clearance to the headliner, which is fine. I'm a tall guy. So if you're a big, tall guy, these seats will fit. Again, we made our custom seat brackets, which are, you know, they don't stick out. I think they're pretty good looking considering. I had thought about carving the carpet to hide that, but I kind of actually like the look of this. Clearance to the center console is there, probably by, I don't know, we'll say 1/4 inch or so, but that still is plenty. I'm not too worried about rubbing the center console there. This stuff is pretty soft, and that center console isn't perfect anyways. If I wanted to take more time, I could probably get like another 1/8 inch out of it. But remember, we have to get our seatbelt mount here. I'm gonna order, I think, a seatbelt catch just to kind of hold this out like that, kind of like the stock ones. Unless I don't think I can fit that through here, nor do I feel like taking that apart. But this is gonna be just great for what we're using. We got to rinse, wash, and repeat now on the passenger side. I don't have to take you with me for that. You kind of see a process we did here. We're going to basically repeat on that side. I'm thinking the passenger side might even be a tad easier. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this informational. Like I said, these seats, I think I've seen them as cheap as $260 for the pair. And I fit very well in it. And again, I'm a 6'1", currently 255-pound dude. And I'm happy with the head clearance and the way I can look through the windshield. I don't feel I'm sitting too low or too high. So if you're in for a budget seat, this might be the way to go, along with a quick how-to of how you can make some brackets work in here. So very much appreciate everyone watching. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Check out the other videos. I have some on this car and a Buick that we just picked up, and I think there's 38 out of them now. My goal for this year and my promise to the people who continue to watch is I will invest in a better camera so you don't get my fingers in shots and see me drop my iPhone. But I'm still having fun, so I think we're going to continue as long as I keep getting new subscribers and people keep leaving positive comments. But until next time, thanks for watching Beyond the Manual.